I am back, guys, for another video. Um, like I said, I was gonna do a second video. This is gonna be my review I was supposed to do on Wednesday, but I couldn't get to it. But we're continuing down the Stallone one-off movies with solo movies with Over the Top, which came out in 1987. This movie is pure 80s. Like, you got yoked dudes just arm wrestling. You got super 80s music. I'll admit though, the one thing when I was rewatching this Wednesday was like I didn't remember the whole plot with the son. I didn't remember that aspect about the movie, to be honest. And it makes it so much better because that father son bonding. Because basically the premise is Lincoln Hawk, which is such an '80s name, by the way, Lincoln Hawk. But so the movie is about he's a trucker. Um, he arm wrestles for extra cash. He has an estranged wife who asks him to take his son, who goes to a military school, who is like a estranged son. And you have that classic story of estranged kid doesn't really want to get to know his dad, but then he sees his dad arm wrestle, and then you start seeing them bond. But Hawk's wife Christina, her father, it doesn't like Hawk and thinks he's no good, and basically tries to get him out of his life. So they take a trip from Colorado to California, and they overall reconcile. And that's like the whole thing about the movie. I didn't remember that. I didn't remember the kid aspect. Because I'll admit, the last time I watched Over the Top, I think I might have been in high school, so this must have been like, I don't remember the exact grade, but this was between 2010 and 2014. It was between one of those years. I watched it, but yeah, it was around that time. I think it was like the last time I remember watching it, and so yeah, I didn't remember the son aspect, and it really worked. And the kid who played Mikey or Michael, but they call him Mikey in the movie. I thought he did pretty good for a kid actor. The scenes where he's connecting with his father is really good, and just the fact that one of the things, this movie is super 80s. He's got like, yeah, yoked dudes. He's getting not Michael, Lincoln's getting ready for this big meet, but ultimately his wife, his estranged wife Christina, dies, and Mikey basically blames Hawk for it. So Hawk has to try to get his son back, but then he ends up he goes to jail because he trashes the grandfather's house. But then he gets let out basically if he signs over rights. And then he travels to Vegas for, the big arm wrestling meetup. And that part of the film, oh my God, it gave me straight up wrestling vibes. Because they were cutting promos. Like when they were getting interviewed, it was essentially them cutting promos. I was just getting wrestling vibes. It was fucking great. The fucking music playing, like, oh my God, I fucking love this movie. The soundtrack is so good, like, and just the fact that it's a simple story about a father reconciling with his son. Just watching it in that aspect, like, yeah, you can get, it has like that 80s stuff about it, but it's still a dope film. So I heavily recommend it. And the thing is, he's not like, it's almost like Rocky in a little bit, in the sense of he's training for like, you see him doing little workouts to train his arms. But I like that Stallone always tried to change it up. Like, he wasn't like a cop. He wasn't a military. He was just a dude. He's just a truck driver. But yeah, this is a great movie. Heavily recommended if you've not seen it. It's on YouTube, actually, if you don't want to, because I don't think it's on a service. But if you have it on, it's on YouTube. So, but yeah, guys, I'm gonna get ready to cheers and kick off the video. Movie opens up. You see Mikey at military school. And we see Mikey get called the office, and we learn that his father is picking up, and you could tell he didn't want, so he doesn't want his father around. And Mikey initially questions like his father, and he starts because he didn't have that relationship with him. And then but Mikey's grandfather, Jason Cutler, who I thought was a great kind of like pseudo antagonist. Like he wasn't the villain. He's like like a pseudo antagonist, because there's parts of the film where he like tries to have people like nab like Mikey. So basically, um, Mikey and uh, Mikey and Lincoln try to get to know each other, but Mikey initially doesn't want to have anything to do with them. They go to like a trucker uh, restaurant, and this is where we first see him Lincoln arm wrestling, and like every dude in this movie, it's so perfect. Like the people he's arm wrestling against, like, oh my god, they all look like they all are perfect. But yeah, he beats him, and this is where we learn that he's gonna have a big um, arm wrestling competition in Vegas, and then we see like even a little montage of him and Michael like eventually start actually connecting, and there's even a scene where where Mikey arm wrestles like some kid at like an arcade, and you see them like connecting, and it's really well done. I think that's the thing too. Just side point. There's a lot of Hollywood right now where you can't have like a positive father portrayal. Like that's why this movie, granted, is from '87, but it's just like, why can't we have movies like that? I mean, I think there are moments. I've seen movies where there actually are good father figures. I don't think it's completely gone, but it's like but it's just nice to see in a movie like this where you can't you would just think it's about arm wrestling and stuff. So, but before he has one last Hawk has one last conversation with Christina before she unfortunately dies due to complications of, for surgery. Michael ends up blaming him, so he ends up running back to his grandfather. Hawk tries to tries to get Mikey back. Like he even like straight up runs through um, Jason's like mansion to try to get him back, but he ends up getting arrested and taken to jail. And Mikey forgives Hawk, and basically says he can get the charges are going to get dropped basically if he basically signs custody to Cutler. And I think Cutler's a perfect bad guy. But before that, there was one scene where Cutler tries to have some people nab Michael and even get like a big chase scene. I love that scene. The scene is really fun. And so we get a little bit of like your kind of normal Stallone film where he's beating up bad guys. So Hawk gets ready to leave for the World Arm Wrestling Championships in Vegas, and he wants to get his own trucking company. And while this is happening, and Bull Hurley is like the main champion. And when we get to this point in the film, oh my god, it's so fun. Just like the parts where they're interviewing each of the competitors, it feels like I'm watching wrestling. They're all just cutting promos, and they're all like, "I'm gonna crush him," stuff like that. While this is happening, Mikey realizes that his grandfather was lying to him because he finds a bunch of letters. Because there's a scene earlier where Michael mentions, "Why weren't you writing me?" And Hawk says, "I was." But then we find out that his uncle had been um, hiding the letters. So he runs off to go find his father, steals one of his grandfather's cars to try to go to Vegas, and he ends up making it to the airport. But while this is happening, we see the competition, and we get like some super 80s music playing. It's perfect, man. So we see him basically just beating people left and right. And Michael steals a truck, but he ends up making it to flying to Vegas to try to find his father. And Hawk makes it to the final eight competitors, but he ends up suffering his first loss, which I thought that scene was done really well. You felt bad for him, man. You feel for him when he loses, like, oh no. And then we get a scene between Cutler and Hawk, and basically Hawk offers him basically money and then a new semi if he basically leaves Michael alone and gets out of Michael's life. Hawk refuses and I think punches him out. And basically and Hawk comes back, advances to the finals, and is about to face Bull. I said Bill. Face Bull Harley, the main champion. Mikey comes back to apologize, and basically we kind of get like a flip of the scene because there's a scene before where Hawk was teaching Mikey about, because Mikey was mad about losing the arm wrestling thing, and he was giving him that same speech, and basically Michael gives him that same speech, and we get that final arm wrestling, and they made it such, like, the way they did it was done so well, because you were so invested, even though it's just arm wrestling. This isn't like even like at least with Rocky's a whole boxing match. With this, it's just arm wrestling, and you're so invested in it. Like, you're like, oh my god, it's almost like it was almost like I was watching it like an actual sports event. And but yeah, Hawk ends up winning. He ends up winning the money, wins the new truck, and leaves with his son to start a new life. And the film ends. Get some super 80s music playing in the credits. Awesome fucking movie. It's fun. You have your 80s music. You have your just yoked dudes. You got your just has like the arm wrestling part literally is like a pro wrestling event, and I love it. But my big above all that, the story of like Hawk reconciling with his son is actually done really well, and I really love this movie. I like just for that alone. Like, I don't know, I love all the other stuff I mentioned, but that stuff was done so beautifully, and I'm happy they got a decent kid actor for it, because if a kid actor sucked, that does kind of ruin it. But I like that what they were going for. So one of my favorite, like, sorry about that, god damn it. Anyway, but yeah, really awesome movie. I would give this movie like a 9 out of 10. This is an awesome one. One of Stallone's probably my favorite. My favorite non like franchise Stallone film is still Cobra, but this one's up there. I really love it. So I'm happy I got to watch it again. Dope movie. So I'm gonna cheers to that. Tomorrow, I got 2 videos planned. I'm gonna be doing my movie pitch that I was supposed to do last Monday, but Top Gun came out. But I'll be doing my movie pitch for May. I'm gonna be doing 2 movie pitches this month. This one and then the one at the end of this month. And then tomorrow, I said tomorrow again. And then after that, I meant to say, I will be doing my review of the movie Face Off. So we're back to continuing Nicolas Cage movies. Because I was supposed to do the pitch tomorrow. That's why I didn't do the Nicolas Cage movie this last week, but I'm doing one this week. So yeah, we're going to be doing Face Off, which I cannot wait for. I love that movie. Nicolas Cage and John Travolta were fucking legends in that. It's just an awesome premise, even though the premise is a bit out there, but it's great. Nicolas Cage being batshit crazy is fucking fun. So definitely happy to be reviewing that. So we'll be doing that tomorrow. Yeah. Cheers. As usual. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Fuck the Biden administration. Peace.